Modern French writers exhibit a revulsion their feeling is a reflective chastity, or perhaps rather a restrained sensualism. The upstriving mountain paths of Wagner are succeeded by monotonous plains of twilight uniformity. Thus, style forms itself out of feeling when led by taste. The apostles of the Ninth Symphony have devised the notion of depth in music. It is still current at face value, especially in Germanic lands. There is a depth of feeling and a depth of thought. The latter is literary and can have no application to tones. Depth of feeling, by contrast, is psychical and thoroughly germane to the nature of music. The apostles of the Ninth Symphony have a peculiar and not quite clearly defined estimate of depth in music. Depth becomes breadth, and the attempt is made to attain it through weight. It then discovers itself through an association of ideas by a preference for a deep register and, as I've had opportunity to observe, by the insinuation of a second, mysterious notion, usually of a literary sort. If these are not the sole specific signs, they are the most important ones. To every disciple of philosophy, however, depth of feeling would seem to imply exhaustiveness in feeling, a complete absorption in the given mood. Whoever, surrounded by the full tide of a genuine carnival crowd, slinks about morosely or even indifferently, neither affected nor carried away by the tremendous self-satire of mask and motley, by the might of misrule over law, by the vengeful feeling of wit running riot, shows himself incapable of sounding the depths of feeling. This gives further confirmation of the fact that depth of feeling roots in a complete absorption in the given mood, however frivolous, and blossoms in the interpretation of that mood. Whereas the current conception of deep feeling singles out only one aspect of feeling in man and specializes that. In the so-called champagne aria in Don Giovanni, there lies more depth than in many a funeral march or nocturne. Depth of feeling also shows in not wasting it on subordinate or unimportant matters. Routine is highly esteemed and frequently required. In musical officialdom, it is a sine qua non that routine in music should exist at all, and furthermore that it can be nominated as a condition in the musician's bond is another proof of the narrow confines of our musical art. Routine signifies the acquisition of a modicum of experience in art craft and their application to all cases which may occur. Hence, there must be an astounding number of analogous cases. Hence, there must be an astounding number of analogous cases. Now I like to imagine a species of art praxis, wherein each case should be a new one, an exception. How helpless and impotent would the army of practical musicians stand before it? In the end, they would surely beat a retreat and disappear. Routine transforms the temple of art into a factory. It destroys creativeness. For creation means the bringing form out of the void, whereas routine flourishes on imitation. It is poetry made to order. It rules because it suits the generality. In the theater, in the orchestra, in virtuosi, in instruction, one longs to exclaim, avoid routine, let each beginning be as had none been before, know nothing but rather think and feel. For behold, the myriad strains that once shall sound have existed since the beginning, ready afloat in the ether, and together with them other myriads that shall never be heard. Only stretch forth your hands, and ye shall grasp a blossom, a breath of the sea breeze, a sunbeam. Avoid routine, for it strives to grasp only that wherewith your four walls are filled. And the same over and over again. The spirit of ease so infects you that you will scarcely leave your armchairs, and will lay hold only of what is nearest to hand. And myriad strains are there since the beginning, still waiting for manifestation. It is my misfortune to possess no routine, Wagner once wrote Liszt, when the composition of Tristan was making no progress. Thus Wagner deceived himself and wore a mask for others. He had too much routine, and his composing machinery was thrown out of gear. He had too much routine, and his composing machinery was thrown out of gear just when a tangle formed in the mesh which only inspiration could unloose. True, Wagner found the clue when he succeeded in throwing off routine, but had he really never possessed it, he would have declared the fact without bitterness. And after all, the sentence in Wagner's letter expresses the true artist's contempt for routine, inasmuch as he waives all claim to a qualification which he thinks meanly of. He takes care that others may not invest him with it. This self-praise he utters with a mien of ironic desperation. He is, in very truth, unhappy that composition is at a standstill, but finds rich consolation in the consciousness that his genius is above the cheap expedients of routine. At the same time, with an air of modesty, he sorrowfully confesses that he has not acquired a training belonging to the craft. The sentence is a masterpiece of the native cunning of the instinct of self-preservation, but equally proves, and that is our point, the pettiness of routine and creative work. Respect the pianoforte. Its disadvantages are evident, decided, and unquestionable. The lack of sustained tone and the pitiless, unyielding adjustment of the inalterable semitonic scale. But its advantages and prerogatives approach the marvelous. It gives a single man command over something complete, and its potentialities from softest to loudest in one and the same register, it excels all other instruments. The trumpet can blare but not sigh, contrariwise the flute. The pianoforte can do both. Its range embraces the highest and deepest practicable tones. Respect the pianoforte! Let doubters consider how the pianoforte was esteemed by Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Liszt, who dedicated their choicest thoughts to it. And the pianoforte has one possession wholly peculiar to itself, an inimitable device, a photograph of the sky, a ray of moonlight, the pedal. The effects of the pedal are inexhausted because they have remained even to this day the drudges of a narrow-souled and senseless harmonic theory. The treatment accorded them is like trying to mold air or water into geometric forms. Beethoven, who incontestably achieved the greatest progress on and for the pianoforte, divined the mysteries of the pedal, and to him we owe the first liberties. The pedal is in ill repute. For this, absurd irregularities must bear the blame. Let us experiment with sensible irregularities. Quote, I felt that the book I shall write will be neither in English nor in Latin, and this for the one reason, namely, that the language in which it may be given me not only to write, but also to think will not be Latin or English or Italian or Spanish, but a language not even one of whose words I know, a language in which dumb things speak to me, and in which, it may be, I shall at last have to respond in my grave to an unknown judge, end of quote. Von Hofmannsthal. A letter.